I know we're only 25 days away from Chaos Rising, but we're already learning about cards from our next set, Pitch Black, which should be out on July 16th in Pokemon TCG Live. Like Perfect Order and Chaos Rising, Pitch Black will be another small main set with around 85 cards. If you're wondering why 2026 is such a bad year, it's simple. Since long before we learned that the Pokemon Company created Typhlosion Erotica, Japan received a new set almost every month. As you can see from this schedule posted by PokeBeach, it's shriveled up more than my Great Balls in a hot tub. They've essentially cut the releases in half, likely due to the fact that Winds and Waves isn't coming out until next year. If I had to guess, they decided to stretch the 1 year of Mega Evolution cards they had planned into 2, creating a dry spell. But enough about my love life. Let's focus on the 6 new cards revealed this week, bringing the total number of Pitch Black cards known 3 months ahead of time to 13, or 16% of the set. Maybe I'm desperate for a good new Mega, but Mega Excadrill EX seems kinda okay, doesn't it? Featuring almost zero synergy with the currently available Drillbur and Excadrill, the Mega does just 90 damage for 2 metal. But you do discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, so you can mill them while you drill them. That's fine and gives you an alternate strategy. But the second attack is where the KOs will come from. For 3 metal, Excadrill only does 200 damage. That's coming up short on pretty much everything meaningful. If you put 2 more energy on it though, regardless of what it is, that damage is up to 330. So now you're one-shotting a Dragapult and most relevant threats not named Mega Lucario. The first obstacle is of course the energy. Steven's Metagross is out because Excadrill is purely metal like Metallica. Our Chaladon's only able to get Excadrill up partially since it accelerates a measly 2 energy and they have to come from the discard pile. So that leaves good old Metal Maker Metang. Load the deck up with 12 to 16 energy, add a couple Genesect EX, and it should function how you want. Best of all, the new Drillbur has a call for family attack, so you can consider cutting Precious Trolley as your A-Spec, relying on Poffin and Ultra Ball instead. Okay, we've solved the energy and consistency issue. The problem now is whether or not Mega Excadrill is worth the 3 prize liability. To play devil's advocate in my VCR, I have to go to channel 3. And to be on the no side of that question, we have Chaos Rising Metagross. It evolves from the Metang you already have to play and only gives up 1 prize. Best of all, it can deal the same 330 damage, you just need to discard 3 metal and attach a Brave Bangle. Additionally, we have other single prizers like Regigigas and Heatran who can deal with higher HP threats. So Metang doesn't really need Mega Excadrill. The way I see it, you run the goofy looking Mega as a mill deck with maximum drill as a backup. 340 hit points on a metal type is pretty decent, especially when fire types aren't heavily played. Add in Full Metal Lab to reduce damage by 30 plus Iron Defender for up to 120 less since it's the opposite of a Premium Power Pro and you have a beefy boy. And you can even give it a Sacred Charm to reduce damage by another 30 if they have an ability. Alternatively, you can go for a Hero's Cape with Wally's Compassion build. You will have to be smart about when using Wally since it puts the energy back into your hand and Metang accelerates from deck. But it's almost impossible to one-shot a Caped Excadrill. Hope to mill some of their good cards while dealing an okay amount of damage, then when KOs are needed, drill them maximally. Plus, think of how funny it'll be to drain them of all their resources early, then drop an Acerola's Mischief on back-to-back turns to end the game. Basically, Mega Excadrill has playability. The heavy baton access isn't huge, since only 1 can get knocked out before you lose the game. But with things like Jumbo Ice Cream and even Felipe, I'm willing to give it 2.5 of my perfectly manicured toes right now. It's not higher because I can't get past the fact that we're literally getting an equally strong baby Metagross in Chaos Rising. Then we have the new Slowbro coming in Pitch Black, which is a funny coincidence because that's also when we're expecting Mega Slowbro EX. You see, Chaos Rising will have Mega Gallade EX and Crocodile EX, yet none of their pre-evolutions. Yes, it's very dumb. If Pitch Black ends up with Mega Slowbro though, at least people will be able to evolve into it at pre-releases. Anyway, the new Slowbro kinda sucks. If you have no cards in hand, it does 210 damage for a single Psychic. While boomers might remember Granbull from the Sun and Moon days, life was different back then. You see, our standard format was dominated by an impressive Dragon type that absolutely ruined single prize decks. Oh right. But things were slightly different. In those times, dragons had a fairy weakness. Nowadays, you have to run Lily's Clefairy to one-shot dragons, who just so happens to be an easy 2 prizes for Dragapult either through Phantom Diving to the face or Dust Noiring and Pinging. If you really want to use Slowbro, it will require a lot of items like Ultra Ball and Pokegear. On the supporter side, Larry's Skill is the best. It discards your entire hand while also grabbing a Pokemon in basic energy. You will have to forego the supporter part of the text though. Otherwise, Cassiopeia on Me is another option. If there's no other cards in your hand, you can get any 2 cards from deck. Additionally, I could see some combo of Lucky Helmet with Cypher Maniac or Seduction Kit. Remember, you'll have 0 cards in hand. Your top deck needs to be great. But we all know the only likely way Slowbro sees play is as a 1-of and Slowking. They both evolve from Slowpoke, and this guy gives you a way to deal 210 damage without needing a 4-card combo. You just, need to have no hand. Ironically, the best part about Slowbro is the new Slowpoke. The attacks are useless. What you care about is the hit points. Currently, the Psychic Slowpoke has 80. The new one has 70, putting it in Poffin range. Now you can run both Telepathic Psychic Energy and Poffin to get your Slowpokes. We might also get the Goofy Face Slowpoke in Pitch Black, but that's the worst of the bunch. So remember everything I just paired with Slowbro? That all works with the new Thievul too. If you have no cards in hand, it can copy any attack from your opponent's Pokemon. I think they wanted us to make some weird Thievul Slowbro deck where Slowpoke empties your hand and Thievul attacks or something, but that seems horrible. Unlike Hoobastank, they should go in different directions. Whereas Slowbro wanted Larry's skill, I think Thievul wants Cassiopeia, because you either have to use Ignition Energy or Counter Gain to attack. Unfortunately, Ignition Energy is a little risky because if you have multiple in your hand at once, oops, you're screwed. If you're curious about whether this Thievul will be playable, let me direct your attention to Team Rocket's Mimikyu, Clefable, and Zoroark. While these all copy the active, whereas Thievul can copy anybody, how often do you see these used? I mean, Mimikyu is almost there for its free retreat more than anything. And I'd much rather copy their active and keep a thick, lotion-filled hand after playing bosses than drain myself completely. Plus, someone like Clefable can hit Dragapult and Lucario for weakness, while Thievul doesn't. Speaking of, what attacks are you going to copy? Phantom Dive only does 200 damage, which isn't a KO. And the bench pings will just be sent back with their Munkidori. Mega Brave's great, but you're still coming up short of a KO. Teal Masked Ogerpon is susceptible to Thievul, though running one copy of Moltres and a Fire Energy deals with it a lot easier. What I'm trying to say is, attacks that copy other attacks are only strong if the attacks they copy are strong. And I learned in my Clefable video that if you aren't hitting for a Psychic weakness, things get rough real fast. It's definitely cause for concern when arguably the most playable card from a weekly reveal is a 70 hit point Slowpoke. While I have plans for Mega Excadrill, we both know it's not going to upset the unnatural balance and standard created by Dragapult, which, I might add, just finished another week in Japan with a quarter meta share. And that makes me sadder than watching Charmander wait for Damien in the rain.